Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I want to say I'm sorry for not posting a video for about the past week, but I have a really good excuse. Blizzard actually asked me to commentate / cast the last BlizzCon tournament. So it's EU Cup #2. I just went out to Columbus, Ohio to actually cast that, and it was such an amazing experience. I'm going to roll a clip here in a second of one of the just little short clips of me casting. I think I did an okay job. Let me know down below in the comments if you watched the tournament and how well you think I did. But let's roll the clip.
Raikou still in hypothermia. The full fear onto Rattapie. Maro, 3 temp shields that go. Full kidney shot onto Chaz, though, and cheap shots onto Raikou. Raikou still in hypothermia. The pain suppression comes out from Chaz before the polymorph lands. Absolutely incredible foresight from Chaz, keeping Raikou alive. If that pain suppression did not land, that would have been game over. Now Rattapie is sheeped up as well, and Maro is actually forced into a second ice block. I actually love how Maro using the ice blocks at high HP, but it does get massive spells. Read cheap shots land. Maro 5% life. Is he going to survive? Pain suppression comes out from Rattapie as well. Keeps him afloat for now. Full blind on the Chaz. Chaz opposite sits it. Rattapie full blind as well. No trinket available. Maro kicked in Frost, trying to survive any way he can. No ice blocks available. No pain suppression. Half fear coming out on the Rattapie. Archangel full polymorph onto Rattapie. Half polymorph. When it breaks, Maro solo full kidney shot lands. Smoke bomb lands as well. Is there enough damage? Doesn't look like it.
Alright, so for today's video, we're gonna hop into some matches. I was actually playing some FMP with my friends Gex and Boom Surge, which is kind of an interesting comp, but we were playing Arcane, Feral, Disc Priest, and we were fighting a couple different teams, but I'm gonna break these down. And the reason I like to do this instead of just casting 2 is that I can like pause the game, I can show you guys exactly what I'm looking at, I can show you guys exactly what I'm thinking inside of my own head, and since I actually... Let's actually skip this clip. But since I actually was playing the game, I know exactly, what was really going on. I'm playing a pretty standard spec here. Actually, the one thing I do want to mention is I'm playing Kleptomania instead of Temporal Shield. That's so I can take all of the Rested Druid's HOTS. I think it's great to play Kleptomania against a lot of Rested Druid matchups, especially if it's Rested Druid Mage, but in this case, Rested Druid Ellie. So we were fighting this team a lot. One of the major things we were doing was opening Druid when we could find him. However, he's not in cat form and stealth, he's in bear form instead. So instead of opening Druid, we're going to get CC on the Druid and opt to go on the Elemental Shaman instead. I have every cooldown. Obviously, the game just started. I'm going to probably start with something like a Mass Invisibility. There it is, going for maybe a Sheep or a Mark of a Lunith. We're not going to be able to get too much CC onto Gareki until that Fear lands. It's going to be like Stun Fear a lot of times. I'm actually not even playing Ring of Frost. So it's like to land a Polymorph isn't that realistic. So it's really just the stuns, the fears, and then any counterspell I can land. And then we're just going to do a stupid amount of damage onto the Elemental Shaman with Arcane Power, Presence of Mind, Mark of a Lunith, etc., etc. So... Arcane Explosion, just kind of get the stacks up. We get the full bash. Hopefully go for like a Sheep or a Fear off the bash, but the War Banner is up. We kill the War Banner. I get Hex, and Gareki blinks away to safety. But the Shaman's taking a lot of damage in that time. The thing to note here, guys, is I still have every cooldown. Right, I still have, we forced War Banner and we forced some Druid mobility, and the Shaman is now full bled up, and I still have Counterspell, Kleptomania, and Arcane Power, Presence of Mind. So our go hasn't even happened yet, and look, the Shaman's half HP, so if I can get a Blink CS or any type of CC onto the Druid, it's going to be like game over for the Shaman. So Kleptomania is going to come out once we land CC. You don't want to just Klepto randomly, right? So here's the lockout. And I immediately Klepto, right? But I'm not going to Klepto until the Druid's locked out. So we lock out the Druid, immediately Klepto, and here's where I'm going to pop my one-shot almost surely. Here's the one-shot damage onto Yam. I do get bashed up, trinketed immediately. The wall comes out from Yam, but I throw the Blood Elf Silence over onto Gareki. So much damage, and I think he's just going to go down. Yeah, so he just goes down through wall and through Ironbark, since we just Kleptoed all of the HOTS and popped every single offensive cooldown when the Shaman is already 60 or 70% life. So that's pretty much how OP Klepto is if you use it correctly. If you land the CC, land the Klepto, and then land all of your offensive damage with something like a Feral Druid and our Assassination Rogue, popping Incarn or Vendetta, paired with Arcane Mage damage, you just completely one-shot the other team. Alright guys, so another game here on Ashmane's Fall. This time we're fighting a Frost Sub Disc RMP. We're playing the same competition, so Arcane Feral Disc. And like this opener is very standard for me. I run in and I pop Mass Invisibility. Reason being is, like, a lot of people start with Greater Invis. I choose to hold my Greater Invis so that I can save it for the shield wall, right? So I can save it for that 60% damage reduction, and I think it's really good to do that. you don't want to do it all the time, but I try to play a little bit greedy, run it on my mount, get that Mass Invis, and then still try to get an opener out of the Mass Invis. Here doesn't quite work out for me, but I do want to get into combat with the Arcane Explosion so I don't get sapped by the Rogue. So I'm getting combat with the Arcane Explosion, and I'm also stacking on my orbs up to 4 stacks so we can get a nice big opener. Put the Priest to my focus as well. Kidney Shot comes out into my Priest. I'm feared. I could Trinket this Fear and Peel, which I actually maybe should do, but I think I might actually sit it, so I have that Trinket if they want to go me, but that's Icy Veins. This is a lot of the Rogue cooldowns and a lot of the Mage cooldowns. The Kidney Shot comes out of my Priest. We need to help him survive, even if he pain subs at like full life here. So I actually opt to sit the Fear. I go into the Polymorph, and it looks like I sit the Polymorph or get Dispelled. So I'm saving my Trinket. I don't want to have them force my Trinket as well, but that's definitely something where if my Priest was like, I'm not pain supping Peel for me, then I would have Trinket locked the Mage, Trinket Blink, Blood Elf the Mage, and do a Sheep on the Rogue, something like that. But since my Priest, I think he just paints up to full life, or he got nice peels there, then I can actually hold on to my trinkets. That's just kind of a communication thing. But right away, the Sheeps are coming out onto my Priest, and here is what I want to talk about from the start of the match. I used Greater Invis. I have that wall available. If I didn't have that, this might have been my Ice Block. This might have been more of like my Temp Shield or just more mobility. But since I have that Greater Invis, I'm going to be completely okay. Throwing up the Blood Elf Silence into the Sheep onto the Priest here. And now here's where we get some counter pressure going. We can kill the Rogue here, or we can kill the Mage, and we can kind of split pressure as well, since that Feral Druid has the option to just bleed both targets. And I'm an Arcane Mage, right? So I can cleave down both targets. I still have every single offensive cooldown, and I'm going to use them once we get a little bit more CC. The Pain Suppression comes out, the grip onto the bomb comes onto me. That was a beautiful grip by Gex, but the restun's coming out onto my Druid, my Feral Druid, and he just actually kind of gets caught in that bomb a little bit, even though the Priest gripped me. So nice play by this Rogue Mage, just swapping targets as soon as I get gripped. Now the full Polymorph comes out, and this is where I'm going to use all of my cooldowns, right? Full Polymorph comes out, we're going to Arcane Power, Presence Mind, instantly force that Ice Block because the Feral Druid damage as well. So we get the CC, we pop our offensive cooldowns, we get their defensive cooldowns, right? It's just this constant trade. It wasn't necessarily Ice Block. The Priest could have trinketed and saved the Mage as well, but we do get Ice Block there. I tried to cast an Arcane Blast to just get some more damage out, do get counterspelled on it. They're doing another swap to my Priest, and I need to, peel if my Priest gets too low, but my Priest handled that beautifully, and he's still 100% HP. I do get kicked again, so I could do a little better job at fate casting. The Rogue and the Mage are just throwing every kick into me, so it's very difficult. I'm also low mana, so I need to get an evocation off when I can. Have 4 stacks again. Hopefully we get some type of fear. Putting that slow, the focus slow onto the Priest, so that the Priest has a harder time landing his CC, and then my Priest can catch up to their Priest to get the fears a little bit easier as well. So that slow is just good overall. Get the full Polymorph now onto the Priest. Evan Bolt being casted. Looks like it's being interrupted. Kidney Shot on the me Priest. My Priest is in that Polymorph, so I'm forced into my Ice Block. And that's my only Ice Block, right? The Mage has 2 Ice Blocks. Of course, since he's Frost, I only have 1. So we're in a pretty scary spot. I have no Invis. I do have Trinket and Temp Shield, though. My Priest going into more Polymorphs, but it looks like he's going to be able to top me off because there's no more CC onto him. Rogue getting a Re-Stealth right there. Probably could have come out a little bit sooner and stopped that. Slow up onto the Mage. And I just need, now that I have no Ice Block, right? I need to play in a fashion where I'm just playing back and kind of letting my Feral and Priest do a lot of the work, right? If I push in too much without an Ice Block, then I can die. There is no Smoke Bomb available. They'll get that Blood Elf Silence into the full Polymorph onto their Priest. So now we can, either get the Mage's second block or force a lot of defensive cooldowns from the Rogue. We'll kind of see which one it is. I do get kicked there. The step kick from stealth from the Rogue on that re-Polymorph. The Bash comes out instead onto the Priest. Rogue getting very low, 13% life, has those bleeds ticking. 9% life, 8% life, does catch some healing from the Priest as that CC does break. So nice little catch up by the Priest. Mass Invisibility going for the Sheep. He does death that Sheep though, and we get the second block from the Mage. So now we're in a position where, I don't have my Ice Block, but I still have the Trinket Temp Shield. I have my Greater Invis back now, and I have Arcane Power, Presence Mind for a huge burst. Priest has no Trinket, Mage has no blocks, Rogue has no defensives. So at this point, we win the game as long as we survive. And I was actually watching this game a little bit before, and I think I play a little bit too aggro here. So Mage is very low. He's 10% life. But there's no reason for me to be this pushed in, I don't think. The full blind comes out onto my Feral Druid as well. So I could actually play back near my Priest. I don't have to be pushed in this far. I mean, I still have my Trinket. I still have another line of defense, but there's no reason to be like super push. And this game's over, right? The Mage and the Rogue are 50% life. There's 8 seconds on Polymorph diminishing return. Once the diminishing return comes off, the Priest has no Trinket. We get the full poly, we win the game. have counterspell available. Probably want to use it on the polymorph onto my priest, like right here would be a good counterspell. That is where I use it. We actually overlap the bash from my feral druid as well. Kidney shot out onto my priest. Right when that diminishing turn comes off, priest is off diminishing turn. Hopefully we'll go for a polymorph pretty soon here. I get sheeped. Sheep shots onto my feral druid, fear onto my priest. Shadowman's coming out. It's Gats, the enemy priest, actually doing a great job of topping off his rogue and his mage, because that's a ton of pressure. But the rogue and the mage both have no defensive. Still no trinket for 24 seconds. Go for some type of CC. Do get kicked though. There's the bash. Hopefully I can follow that up with a poly. I get kidneyed. I trinket, land the full polymorph, and the rogue goes down. There's another icy veins from the mage, but they couldn't quite make much out of it. So that was that game. We force the enemy's defensive, so we're swapping between the mage and the rogue. At the same time, we're keeping in mind, defensive play with, trinket counterspelling, stopping as many polymorphs as possible, holding the greater invis in the opener, and that's kind of how you want to play versus an RMP. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you did not like the video, make sure to thumbs it down. And really let me know below in the comments if you guys watched the broadcast this weekend at twitch.tv/Warcraft. Let me know how you guys liked it. I'm very, very curious. I know a ton of people for like years literally have been like, Xaryu, you need to cast for Blizzard, you need to cast for Blizzard. So we finally did it. It was an awesome experience. I want to hear your guys' feedback down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.